kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, so growing up, so there was still segregation when you became a teenager, right? When you were in high school, right?
Yes, definitely so.
Was it worse from when you were a kid as you got older into becoming a teenager, or did it start slowly going down with?
It was a little better, but not
Okay.
much better. It was a little bit like a subtle thing.
Okay, so when you were a teenager, that was in the 60s. Was that, you know, the late 60s was with Martin Luther King's speech. Were you a teenager then at that time?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so did you see that on TV live?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What was your initial thoughts as a teenager seeing that on TV live for the first time ever?
I was happy that this country was exposed to the cruelness of other races of people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you, of course, I mean, I'm sure when you saw that live, were you around with your family watching it together, or
No,
was
different news segments and stuff like that.
no, I mean Martin Luther King's speech. Were you watching that with your family, or was it just you watching it?
Which speech? The one in
The
Washington?
main one is, what was that, 1968?
64.
64. Okay.
No, I was in not Norwalk, Connecticut. I was in Newtown, Connecticut, watching Three Dogs for a white lady while she went over to Europe. So I was in there watching it by myself. I was in
Oh,
about 12, 15 room house.
wait. So you were okay. So you were an adult then?
No, I was about 16 or 17. That was
Oh,
my
okay.
summer job.
Oh,
Watching
oh,
Three
okay.
Dogs for the summer.
That's
Just
interesting.
me and Three Dogs.
Well, you said she had 15.
About 15 or 17 room. I lived in a 17
Wow.
room house by myself when I was 16 or 17.
That
I
is
didn't see a black person for the whole summer. When one black man came out there, I did not know him. I wanted to run and hug him.
But wow, that's a I could even
That was
I
a
could
summer
even
job.
but I could even no, I'm just thinking about, like, I couldn't even imagine being in a 15, 17 room. That's a lot.
I was surrounded by a fish pond and a lot of apple trees.
But I'm sure, even though, despite what was going on in the country, that was still an interesting experience for you, especially as a teenager.
Oh yeah, definitely so.
Cause I don't know too many people like at that age is experienced to, or just younger people experienced to just being in a house with that, with that many rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah, that didn't bother me, and we was near a wooded area, and I always had a good connection with the woods. I always felt some spiritual connection because we grew up in a kind of semi-wooded area, so I love trees.
Right.
And so that one thing I never felt. I felt good. I just missed my family, but I felt good.
Yeah, cause I remember your sister Grandma, she mentioned one time a few years ago, she said if the birds are chirping and they're present, that's how things were at least decent or all right, because you could go based off nature and see what's
and
going.
See what the world is like, of how the weather gonna be.
Were you able to see some of Malcolm X speeches or see him on TV live as well?
No, I basically heard some of his speeches.
Okay.
And I never did get to see him, but I just heard a lot of his speeches, and I was fascinated by him because he spoke truth.
So what about Rosa Parks? Did you?
I heard about Rosa Parks too, but I never got to see her.
Okay, so what were, besides Emmett Till, what were some other events you remember with segregation?
This luncheon counter in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Where all the people stayed, where
they couldn't be served food.
Right. Okay, I remember that.
Not because they were black, because they weren't white. If you want to put it that way.
Okay. Wow.
Same difference, but I like to say it that way sometimes.
Okay, and that was one that you remember.
Yeah, I remember. There were so many things, and the train, riding on the train, and all those things too.
And I forgot to ask you, besides, what were some other things that you saw personally, living where you were, with segregation, where you see where it says white and colored? What were some, besides the bathrooms, what were some other places where you saw those signs?
It was the water fountains, as I stated before. Okay. The lady said you shouldn't drink from there. I asked her why. She never answered me. I think she just walked away, and my girlfriend said to her, "I can't read."
Okay.
And so she probably bought that.
So did you ever see, like, when you were around when you're around, like, I guess like white people, did they give any of you guys like certain faces or demeanor? They had a certain demeanor when you guys walked by, or it was just
I really didn't pay
attention.
That close attention, but they had something called a white stare. They could stare at you, but I didn't pay any attention because I knew who I was. And my grandmother taught us a lot too about human beings and how we supposed to be nobody that was better than the other. And I kind of understand where they were coming from, but I just couldn't figure out why could they be so evil and cruel to somebody that has never hurt them or tried to overthrow the country. Never done anything to them, and why would they be so cruel to somebody like that? I couldn't figure that one out.
At the time when you moved, was that the 70s when you?
It was in the late 60s.
Okay, and that was after or when MLK got assassinated. That was 68, right?
Middle 60s, yeah, when he was assassinated.
Okay, so when you moved to New York, that was after that happened, or was it
before it happened?
Before,
your mother
okay,
was a baby that same year.
Okay, and so when you what was like the segregation like in New York City, or was it hard to tell?
No, it was easy to tell because it was pretty much the same thing, but we live in tenements in New York City, and the people in the South lived in kind of like little houses or shacks.
So was there colored and white signs in New York?
No, they didn't have those signs. Maybe way out in some of the countrysides of New York, maybe you've had them, but right in the city they didn't directly have those signs.
Okay.
And the only difference, in my opinion, when I went to visit, only different I could see with the Southern whites and the New York whites, in my opinion, it was just the accent. They had the same mentality.
Okay, but
they didn't follow up little petty things as much as the Southern people did. But the only difference to me was the accent.
So it was a tad bit different as far as like New York being more resourceful and having more opportunities, but there were still people that were discriminating.
Of course, big time. Yeah, the same nonsense.
But it wasn't as bad as the South.
Overt, no, not as overt,
okay,
not as extreme or as cruel.